Hi! As we do every year, we're going to take a look at what happened to the photography industry, and this time around we're going to see what happened in the past 2 years during the pandemic. Let's start! As we do every year, we want to take a look at what happened to the photo industry based on the most recent CIPA numbers published recently. Last year, we covered the entire decade of 2010 to 2020, and if you're interested in some background on this topic, we highly suggest that you watch that video. This time around, we wanted to focus mostly on the past 2 years and the effects the pandemic had on the industry. 2020 was a traumatic year for the entire world, and the photo industry was not free from what happened all around, with camera sales falling over 40% compared to the previous year, going down from 14.8 million units to only 8.7 million, a single-digit number for the first time since the 1970s. Despite some industries showing a brief recovery during the early months of 2021 and some very exciting camera announcements across the year, the actual camera sales numbers did not reflect any of these occurrences. In fact, the number of sold cameras in 2021 fell down even more by about 5% to 8.3 million units sold worldwide. The bulk of this drop was again seen in the compact camera sales, which have been falling consistently since their all-time peak in 2010. The most recent numbers show only 3 million compact cameras sold in 2021 compared to 3.4 million units sold in 2020. Mind you, at their peak, digital compact cameras sold over 108 million units globally, but that was well before you could buy a multi-sensor smartphone with a 100-megapixel main camera with advanced computational features. 2020 was the first time ever where the sales of mirrorless cameras surpassed those of DSLRs, with 2.9 million mirrorless cameras versus 2.3 million DSLRs. In 2021, we saw the trend continue with 3.1 million mirrorless cameras sold versus only 2.2 million DSLRs. 2021 did show one positive aspect when it comes to sales when we look at the lens market. For the first time since 2017, we see an increase in the number of lenses sold globally from 8.8 million units to 9.8 million. As for the reason for this increase, we can only speculate, but it might have something to do with availability. If getting your hands on a new camera in 2021 was hard, why not spend your money on a lens? Talking about availability, in case you've been hiding in a cave somewhere for the past few months, the world has been undergoing major supply chain disruption, the likes of which we haven't experienced in decades. While there might be some other contributing factors, the pandemic is probably the biggest single reason for the delay in shipments of goods and materials, and even more specifically, processor shortages, which affected countless industries, including the photo industry. Talking about shortages, many new cameras announced in the second half of 2021 were either delayed, like the Nikon Z9, which has now been officially postponed until October 2022, and to some degree this is true for other brands as well that delayed or had products in short supply. Price increases are a less talked about aspect of the current situation. While very few manufacturers actually announce increases in pricing for the products in 2021, you can be sure that any new products that will be announced in 2022 will already factor in the spike in cost of raw materials, shipping, and manufacturing. Interestingly, in 2021, we have already seen about 20% more income going to manufacturers from camera sales. If you consider the aforementioned 5% reduction in overall camera sales compared to 2020, this means that the average price per camera sold globally increased significantly over the past year. Looking forward, it is hard to be optimistic for 2022. Talking to people inside the industry, we have been told that the shortages and supply issues are expected to continue for at least the first half of the year, and even if miraculously the second half will see record sales compared to the previous 2 years, we're still looking at another very difficult year for the industry. So that was a quick look at what happened to the photography industry in the past 2 years. You can check out the full article on LensVid.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.